Am I on now? Yeah. I thought my mask was throwing me off there a little bit, but it's not. Welcome to Oldham County Fiscal Court. I'm David Vogel, Judge Executive. Happy to have you here today on the 7th of September for our meeting. If you're able, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Our projector has a burned out bulb here, so we brought a screen up here so that anything that's projected will show up on the screen. I'm going to ask Denise now to please call.
Likens.
Here.
Tice.
Here.
Woosley.
Yes.
Greenwell.
Here.
Pounds. Magistrate Hawkins.
Here.
Magistrate Dye. Magistrate Logston.
Having all members of the fiscal court present, this meeting is now session. The motion to accept the agenda. I'm going to ask that a couple of things be removed from the agenda. One is the under bid openings, number 3, the group 3 there for range be removed. Also, we have under contracts and resolutions, item G regarding the drainage improvement project for Locust Circle East. We'll take that off for today. Are there any additions?
Last one, Judge?
That's item G under contracts and resolutions. Ditto.
I had a question about an item on the
Oh, it was off. Others not off mine. This one.
under committee recommendations and reports. We had a consideration of request for funding from Glean, and my question was: is it more appropriate to have them speak here or back at the grants committee before coming to here?
They've already been in the grants committee. Today, this morning.
This morning was at the special meeting.
All right. Anybody else? Hearing nothing, all in favor, please say aye. Now we'll have our meeting minutes from the meeting on August the 17th.
County Fiscal Court convened at a regular meeting at 2 p.m. with Judge Executive David Vogel, County Attorney John Carter, and the following magistrates in attendance: Prince Likens, Wayne Tice, Steve Greenwell, Chris Hound, Stephanie Hawkins, Bob Dye, and Michael Logston. Magistrate Woosley was absent. Motion made by Magistrate Dye and seconded by Magistrate Greenwell to approve the agenda as submitted. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Logston and seconded by Magistrate Hounds to approve the meeting minutes from August 3rd, 2021 as submitted. Motion carried unanimously. Oldham County Health Department Director Matt Rhodes provided an update on COVID-19 in Oldham County. Judge Vogel responded to the public comment from the fiscal court meeting on August 3rd, 2021 in regards to the extension of the occupational tax. Neither advocating nor opposing the tax, Judge Vogel pointed out that the revenue from the occupational tax is split between the City of LaGrange and Oldham County. Therefore, Oldham County Fiscal Court has benefited from the occupational tax. Ingram from the Sheriff's Office presented the property tax settlement for 2020. Motion made by Magistrate Greenwell and seconded by Magistrate Hounds to approve the judge to sign the Sheriff's property tax settlement for 2020 as submitted. Bliss, chairman of the Oldham County Stormwater Management District, presented information relating to the district's fiscal year 21-22 budget, stormwater quality fees that will stay at the same rate as the previous year at $33.84 a year. The Lemon County Engineer, MS4 Coordinator, presented information regarding the MS4 program. Mr. Douglas and Mr. Sullivan responded to questions from the board. Extension District Board Vice President Ken Heberman presented information relating to the Extension District fiscal year 21-22 budget and ad valorem tax rate, which will all be kept at the same rate except for personal property, which decreased 1 cent per $100 assessed value. Kelly Woods, Extension Agent for 4-H Youth Development, and Tracy Masson, Agricultural and Natural Resources Agent, presented information regarding the programs at the Oldham County Cooperative Extension. Animal Control Director Polly Hilton provided an update on the emaciated horse on Echo Valley Drive. The horse was 29 years old and would not eat. The veterinarian did not find abuse or neglect. The veterinarian recommended euthanasia, and the owner agreed. The horse was euthanized. Motion made by Magistrate Hounds and seconded by Magistrate Tice to authorize payment of the payables as submitted. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Dye and seconded by Magistrate Hounds to approve two budget transfers, $24,586.87 for discretionary salaries, $284,754.08 for reclassification of court security officers required by the Department of Local Government as submitted. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Dye and seconded by Magistrate Hounds to authorize Judge Vogel to sign resolution number 01-08-17-21, adopting the tax rate for 2021 at 8.7 cents per $100 assessed property value as submitted. Discussion followed. Motion carried 7-1 with Magistrate Greenwell voting no. Magistrate Hounds introduced and summarized a first reading of the Record Services Ordinance as submitted. Discussion followed. The second reading public hearing will take place after the ordinance is advertised. Motion made by Magistrate Dye and seconded by Magistrate Greenwell to authorize Judge Vogel to sign the Spay-Neuter Grant Memorandum of Agreement and any other documents pertaining to this grant as submitted. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Tice and seconded by Magistrate Greenwell to authorize Judge Vogel to sign the Cdg Utilities Grant Implementing Agreement as submitted. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Hounds and seconded by Magistrate Greenwell to approve the following personnel actions within the Police Department. Hire Ryan Alexander as a 4-year lateral officer at $23.64 an hour, effective 8/23/21 as submitted. Jared Ellison to sergeant at $27.57 base rate, effective immediately. Discussion followed. Motion carried unanimously. Judge Vogel announced the following resignations. Brent Wilson from the Police Department, effective 8/24/2021. Patrick Miller from Maintenance, effective 8/6/2021. Jeremiah Mulchler from Maintenance, effective 7/30/2021. Motion made by Magistrate Logston and seconded by Magistrate Hounds to appoint Jason Greer to the South Oldham Fire Protection District for a term to expire 6/30/2023 to fill the unexpired term of David Largan, property owner, as submitted. Discussion followed. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Greenwell and seconded by Magistrate Dye to adjourn the meeting. Motion carried unanimously. Meeting adjourned at 4:20 p.m.
You've heard the reading of our minutes from August 17th. Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
One opposed? One abstention.
Before we move on, I think that there is a fire in the community. I was wondering if we could move the fire chiefs up to the top of the list so that they can head on.
Move on now to the first item on our agenda. That is going to be an update from the health department here. Matt Rhodes is here today, and we will be talking with him. You'll notice that looking forward, a number of people in the room have masks on, a number don't. We are going a completely voluntary status on whether or not you wear a mask. I haven't worn one at the meeting in the past, but thought about it and don't know exactly which way to turn. Respect those who want to wear them, respect those who don't want to wear them. I believe in my own case that I'm not injuring my own health by wearing one, but I might be protecting someone else. So I'm willing to accept, at least in group meetings, welcome.
Thank you, Judge Vogel, and ladies and gentlemen, thanks for the invite to return. I'm assuming you all can see the slides that I'm looking at, correct? Okay. So I'm just going to be brief. You all have seen a lot of this information. I just want to provide an update. We are continuing to see exponential growth week over week with COVID cases, and thankfully, due to our healthy population, many people are resolving, but I will, without hospitalization, I will share some of the data with you as we move forward. So you can see our total, this is just the total case count since the start of the pandemic response. We've had 9,047 cases, and we've had 86 deaths. I want to share information with you because I've shared bar graphs with you on where we were. And you might recall, as I've said from the outset, I try not to be an alarmist when it comes to COVID response or any communicable disease for that matter. But I shared with you weeks ago that I said when we were here, we're nowhere near where we were back towards the first of the year in case counts. But you can see now that we are trending in a direction. We had 1 week where it was an anomaly because we had a lab dump from a data dump from a lab, and we saw a number of cases over 1,000. But on average, our case count was somewhere around the 500 to 600 mark. This week, you can see we've started getting closer to that number, and we're starting to see some community consequences due to that. And again, you can see this is for this year. We've started seeing exponential growth week over week. I'll break this out in another slide deck, which shows over 18 and then our pediatric cases and some other information of concern for the community. And these are just year over year comparisons, 2020 to 2021. You can see the downturn, but that's a week that hasn't been concluded. You can see the exponential growth. This is the week ending last week. This just represents the current week that we're in, and it's not a complete data set. So I think with that, I will stop and go and start presenting the information as it relates to local data and our age distribution. So you all can see this represents data from June the 6th of 2021, which is the point in time where we started seeing very few cases within Oldham County. And then when we flipped the calendar into July, we started to see an uptick in case count. So you can see the first 4 weeks here represent the month of June. We had roughly 26 cases the whole month of June. Since June, or since the start of July, you can see this exponential growth. We actually exceeded over 300 cases last week. We had 199 in our 18 and over population, and then more than 100 in our pediatric cases. And you can see the distribution there in orange, 12 to 17, which are vaccine eligible. And then in the gray, 11 and under, they're not eligible for vaccines. And the way that some of this data distributes, you can see over that 14-week period for over 18, we've had 929. For 12 to 17, 223. And for under 11 and under, we've had 209. So the total case count over that 14 weeks is 1,361. And if you do the math, the pediatric cases represent almost a third. It's 31.7% of our cases. Back at the outset of the pandemic, we had very few pediatric cases, and most people thought that this disease did not affect younger children. We're seeing a difference with new variants, particularly the Delta variant. Over that same time period, we have had 22 hospitalizations. Again, I think that speaks to the healthiness of our community, because other communities have not fared as well. For those hospitalizations, 21 adults and 1 pediatric case. And move this over so that I can see it a little better. For that same time period, we've had 20 cases that were unvaccinated, 2 cases were vaccinated, and then 1 case was under the vaccine age requirement. And in that same time period, we've had 2 deaths, and both of those individuals were unvaccinated. As it distributes across those that are vaccinated, we've had 246 cases in individuals that are fully vaccinated, and those are identified as breakthrough cases. So for the total case count over that same 14-week period, 18.1% of our cases have been in fully vaccinated individuals. And this is just a breakdown of the different variants, and you can see that the Delta variant is continuing to climb as the variant of concern here. I wanted to see if I could pull up. Yes, you can't see it here. But I wanted to pull up the website for Kentucky Department of Public Health and just share for you all as well as the community. If you search KY COVID-19, pulls up the Kentucky Department of Public Health website. This is skew a bit on the screen. You can look at COVID testing, vaccine, travel advisory, KDPH, and KDPH data. This is one of the things that I want to share with you of significance. If you scroll down the left ribbon, they're providing slides for the weekly surveillance data here. And you can just see where we are as a state compared to where we were back in January. We've actually eclipsed the case count for where we were in January. And what this is doing is it's placing a real burden on our healthcare facilities. And I want to share, this is the test positivity week over week. You can see currently we're up at where our highest rate was for test positivity. That's the number of individuals that test positive divided by the denominator of total individuals tested. And this shows the rate of COVID-19 cases and vaccination status. So you can see the blue represents individuals that have been fully vaccinated. The gray is individuals that are not fully vaccinated. So there's probably at least a five-fold difference there with regards to those individuals. And this is a note of interest that I think we all need to pay attention to, and this is through August 30th, so it hasn't been updated through the holiday weekend. But you can look back in January and see where we were with the number of individuals in the hospital across Kentucky. We had 1,817 individuals. As of August 30th, we were over 2,000. The same holds true for ICU patients. We're at 460, most recently 615. And then for ventilator usage, also increased where we were back in January. So the real consequence as it relates to healthcare capacity is we know that we have a COVID issue and our healthcare agencies are responding in earnest to try to address it. But what it's doing is it's taxing their capacity to serve other healthcare needs. So if someone has a car wreck or a heart attack or some other event that creates a need for healthcare, especially in our hospital systems, they're being burdened to almost capacity now and having a difficult time serving the community. So again, just want to encourage individuals to follow layered prevention strategies, get vaccinated, wear masks, especially if you're medically vulnerable, avoid individuals that are unvaccinated, and try to limit in-person meetings with individuals from outside your household until we see case counts decrease in the community. With that, I'll stop.
Any magistrate have a question? Mr. Downs?
Booster shot, can you talk about that? What is everybody that's been vaccinated need to get a booster shot, or what's your all's take on that?
The only booster shot that's been approved to date is for individuals that are medically suppressed or medically immunocompromised. So the FDA has approved that for those individuals. No other group of the general public has been approved to receive booster shots.
Get the booster shot of the original shot that you got.
If you receive Moderna, you will receive a Moderna booster shot, and Pfizer and so forth.
Thank you.
Matt, as the experience with the various antidotes that are out there, the same Moderna, Pfizer, there's another one I believe. Are they, people who are vaccinated that they're breakthrough cases? Are they the same for normal, or are they spread differently among the vaccines?
That's a very good question. There's a lot of research that's ongoing, as you might imagine. What we're hearing anecdotally is that all of them are still very efficacious, meaning they do prevent severe disease and or hospitalization. As it relates to breakthrough cases, we're hearing that Moderna may be a little better than Pfizer, but there's still a lot of information that's going to come forward with regard to that particular question.
Anyone else? Thank you for being here today, bringing this to our attention, and we'll continue to work closely with you to produce this information in the public. So,
Thank you. And I would ask the community if they have questions, certainly reach out to us. I may not be able to respond immediately, but I will try to follow up to all inquiries.
thank you. Time now for public comment, if that's our time during the meeting when someone who's come who's not on the agenda is able to speak. Zakline is here.
Judge, I just want to announce that our household hazardous waste collection event will be taking place on the first Saturday in October. That's October 2nd at the fairgrounds from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. And there's our clip. And that is playing at our drive-in movie theater. And I'm encouraging folks to get a link to this and share it on social media. Just get the word out. We want people to attend this event and get rid of icky stuff in the garage.
All right. Are we accepting everything? Paints, lead-based paint?
Oil-based paints, no water-based paints, and no motor oil. Thank you for asking. But that's, yeah.
All right. It's a good opportunity, and it comes around quickly each year and comes and goes. And if you miss it, you have to wait another year. So, Commissioner Greenwell.
Thank you. Becky, who is sponsoring this?
It is a county-sponsored event with funding from the Kentucky Pride Fund. So it's a state funded program. And those funds come from tipping fees at our landfills throughout the state.
Explain the Kentucky Pride Fund, because I'm confusing that with Kentucky Proud. It's not the same thing.
No.
Okay.
The Kentucky Pride Fund is specific. It's funding that goes directly to the Division of Waste Management, and it is divided up from the percentage of tipping fees that landfills charge for dumping at all of Kentucky's landfills.
Okay. Thank you.
You know, Kentucky Proud is what you eat. Kentucky Pride is what you throw.
I wondered why they were stepping into this arena, but
Yeah, right. Cleaning up what you threw away. Right. Thank you. Anyone else to address this report?
Beach Craig Mile. I'm city attorney for LaGrange, and I'm here to speak on behalf of some of the residents of the city. It has to do with a road obligation that the city does not have. There's a subdivision within the city limits. It's not actually a city road that needs a top coat of road called Artisan Park. And we're here to, the city has no obligation to pave this road yet, okay, because it's not been dedicated. It's not up to county standards, but we feel sorry for these folks because this has been going on for decades. This road was built in 2006. We're trying to do something, but we can't spend money on private property any more than the county can spend money on private property. So what we're thinking about doing is accepting this road into the system beforehand so that we can spend some money on it, fix it up. But we're also asking the county to contribute or reimburse the city for failure to process the performance bond that was, should have been processed back in like 2008, 2009. So that's what we're here for. Bristol Keitelman here is one of the residents there. And we're just asking you to consider that in your discussion of this item down in later on. We're not asking you, the county, to make any payments to anybody directly for private property purposes. But you would reimburse us as a settlement process. Mr. Carter has filed a lawsuit in Oldham County that has had a little litigation with it, and understand there's a mediation coming up in the future. So you know how you may want to discuss this in closed session at some point, but and that's just what I'm here for, and I'm here to introduce Marissa Keitelman. Kittleton.
Hello. So I am Vice President of our HOA Board at Artisan Park. And I guess I'm a little bit passionate about the current condition of our streets because we've gotten the brunt of the issues. Quite frankly, the roads are not leveled with the basin. They're just potholes, manholes. My son, I have a 4-year-old son. Every time it rains, I get a collection of nails about this big from construction that comes to the end of my driveway. I have a grate at the end of my driveway, and because the roads are not leveled, nothing drains down correctly. I understand we're kind of like an orphan neighborhood, if you will. That's what I call us anyways. Because it doesn't seem like county will take ownership of the payment here, nor the city. So I've been actually researching this for a year and a half. And I have some questions actually about the bond that I have, well, each has actually. And our neighborhood was in 2006 went bankrupt by Mike Jones, along with several other developments. And my question is, what happens when a community or development goes bankrupt? Who is supposed to take over? Because there was a performance bond. I have it here. Who is supposed to take over ensuring that that bond is withheld and maintained? That I have a question for, can I ask questions? Can anyone answer that? Because I don't know. Nobody's been able to tell me. Is it the developer, Billy Delker? Because he said it wasn't. Is it the county? The county said no, of course, it was the developer. Or the city. We're not owned by the city. Why are we paying city taxes? I've been working with KU for 2 months to try to get our street post lights changed because they're all out. And they won't help me because we're an orphan neighborhood.
Well, you're not. I can't defend the city because you're at the county meeting here now, but you're not actually an orphan meeting. You pay city taxes because you're living in an incorporated area that at one time was taken in the city of Grange as an incorporated area because whenever it was founded, it was a city, people came together and decided to pay more in tax so that they would have more in service than the county provided. So you have, let's say, city police department, for example.
City, prisons, schools, I get
Sure,
that.
I understand. I'm not trying to debate you. You do ask a good question, and I think we're going to discuss this later in the meeting here. Something fell through the cracks. In other words, the developer went bankrupt. The bond that was being held to ensure that the roads were paved did not get collected. The bond that does state that the developer more time can be extended to have the roads paved, but at this particular time, a tremendous amount of time has gone by and they've never been paved. So who is responsible for that? Is that the city, the county? you are in the city, but the bond was issued or in the name of the county.
Correct.
Because at the time, I believe the county engineer has been heavily involved in those processes of helping the various cities that don't have engineers in their city, LaGrange being one of them, to issue those bonds. We've held the bond, and it was not collected through
Right.
an oversight. And who was responsible for that oversight goes way back into
Probably in grade school.
for any
Right.
of us were even sitting here. So it's really hard to determine who was the
Oh,
responsible.
no, that's right. And I have no idea. And I'm not blaming the county, the city. I'm not blaming us. What I can say is we came up with what I seem to be a fair resolution since we don't know. And I have 60, according to Artisan Park bylaws and our DOR, I have 60% quorum signatures that will pay. We will pay for our share, even though I just had a neighbor move in 2 weeks ago. We will pay our share of whatever the road cost or whatever Corey's bid ends up being. The city, I believe, has agreed to pay as well. All we're asking for in this case is just do what's right, just do what's fair. I mean, we just wanted to get through this. It's been so long. Like, just please help us because it's like all we need is to finish the roads, and then we can have a parent, we can have the city, and we won't bother you ever again. We just need the roads done.
But you're not bothering us here.
And, well, I mean,
Pathetic
just,
with the circumstance that
it's been really, it's
be
been
any of
very
us.
tough. Like this past winter, we had a big snow, which doesn't happen often. I was excited. I love the snow, but our neighborhood backs up to, what's the neighborhood right behind ours? Can't recall. But anyways, their streets were snow plowed beautifully. I could have tap danced on them. And nobody touched ours. And I'm calling Public Works, like, we can't get out back here. Why aren't our roads, and well, that's when I started finding out how this works. And I understand the county can't do that because of the big manholes. I get that. They don't want to ruin their plows. And the city was kind enough to help us out. It really was a deep snow. So that's when all of this started to kind of come to a head. And John Carter does have a lawsuit out with Travelers right now for I think it's $50,000, which quite frankly is kind of silly because it doesn't even cover the cost of that. But at any rate, there should have been an escrow or some type of an account set up at the time of bankruptcy, and it wasn't done. Whose responsibility was that? I don't know. But I'm just here to say that we can't wait for that lawsuit. I mean, I'm not an attorney, but we all know it's going to take a while. It was filed in December.
Okay.
Our roads are like Corey there's a hole, and my son could have fell through literally on the end of my driveway. Our roads are deteriorating by the day. So we have to do something, please.
Thank you.
Just a brief segue into that is the law, the KRS that allows a government entity to, with a certain percentage of residents in a private property requesting construction of a road, only applies to the county. I think it's KRS 178, 210, or 220 in that vicinity. But there is an ordinance, a state law that allows the county, upon presentation of a signed petition by 60% or so of the people on a road, to do the construction in advance and then tax them over a period of a few years. But that law, I cannot find that law applies to cities. I don't think it does. Otherwise, they were happy. They came to us asking us if we could build it and then tax them, and I don't think we can. Maybe John can add to that.
All right, we'll discuss this further later in the meeting.
ask a question. Who specified the bond amount? Who was the bond made out to? And who made the mistake?
That's my question. I can answer the first two. Can I see the bond? I have it with me. Can I?
There were 3 bonds involved, I believe.
It was a performance bond, yes. Travel.
Yeah, there was a performance bond for 15,000, performance bond for 13,000. So there's $28,000 in performance bonds. And there was also a $22,000 erosion bond, which we don't think is applicable.
Well, it's kind of
It's not an
entity.
erosion issue, I guess.
That's a
But I think what we're looking at is that not right, John? Yeah. Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
and I apologize. I didn't, I don't know the legalities or whatnot, but quite frankly, I'm not counting on anything coming out of the lawsuit. Like I said, we had an idea. Us as a community are willing to pay our share. We want this done. Everybody does. I mean, I've done my work. We've done our work. The city's willing to help us too. All we're asking is to release them.
Well, if the city is willing and you're willing, you've got 2 willing partners, we need a 3rd.
I do think you should take some responsibility. I do. I think the we're
Well,
not
we'll-
owned by the city either.
Whatever money Mr. Carter is able to collect from the insurance company will be contributed toward it. Now, whether or not it's more than that is up to the board to decide. Okay, let's, thank you all. I think you've made your point. You made it well. Thank you. Let me ask Ms. Horn, we have taken off road item number 3 under bid openings, and is that the item that referred to LaGrange, the Artisan Park, or something else in LaGrange?
Did we take off the opening or the award? That's my question. Award was
Okay,
taken.
we're going to open it, we're just not going to award. Okay, all right, thank you. Anyone else for public comment? All right, we'll close public comment, and our first presentation today is from the library.
Feel bad if I didn't speak a little bit about Artisan Park situation. This young lady, she's been to see us for a couple years now, and I don't know where the fault lies or where the blame goes, but the position the homeowners is there were bonds put up. They should be redeemed, and they haven't been redeemed, and the likelihood of being redeemed seems slim. So the question becomes, how do we go together, try to help out these residents who've been caught in this situation? And we have possible 3 or 4 pots of money. The city side money of $20,000. We were hoping the county would go $20,000. The residents, even though they shouldn't have to go anything, they've agreed to go $20,000. And then we have Billy Delker, who wants to be a part of it as well as the person buying the remaining lots in Artisan Park. And then we have yet to get whatever Mr. Carter can get. So if we could all pool those monies together, I feel like we could get these roads done. Now, I understand there's a law that Steve has mentioned about expenditure of county monies on non-county roads. I certainly understand that. But if there is some part of a appropriation that the county could find as permissible made to the city, then we would try to help place this money where the need be. So that's all I'd like to say to the court at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. This item is, it's on the agenda, ways down the list, but we will get to it. Unless the court wants to move it up and discuss it right now.
I'll make a motion, we move it up to right now.
All right.
Judge, I don't think that's fair to the people that were ahead of us or that are here to make their presentations, the tax, boards and all that. I think we ought to go take it in order.
All right. We have two with differing points of opinion here. Anyone else? Raise your hand.
To be careful, as per Mr. Carter's comment about discussing it, I think maybe we need to hold off. If there's going to be more discussion than basically an informational thing, we may be putting ourselves in jeopardy we don't want to put ourselves in. That's my opinion.
Agree with him, Judge. We know who all the players are. It's just a matter of filling in the blank.
All right, then we'll go on with the library budget presentation. Jessica, if you like, and David Hutchinson here from the library. Welcome to Fiscal Court.
For having us today. In your court packet that was sent home, you should have some brief literature that we sent out to give you an update on what we've been up to over the last year. As you can imagine, providing library services during the middle of the pandemic has been challenging, but we have risen to the occasion. Right now, we're offering about 42 programs a month, and folks have a choice in the way they can attend those. We are doing live outdoor program in our gardens and our patios, so families can choose whether that's the right option for them. We're also doing online virtual programs, and those are interactive and live. They're not the story times you keep seeing on the news where the kid just watches a YouTube video. No, we have our librarians there interacting with the children and their parents through Zoom, singing the songs and doing all the activities. And then we also have a few indoor programs that are taking place in one of our branches, and those are happening before the library opens so that we can space out families into their own little quadrants and maintain social distancing. And for those families that feel like that in-person option is really important to them, we wanted to preserve that for as long as we safely can. Now that may change as we go into fall and things change in the community. But as part of all of those programs, we are sending home over 1,500 activity kits every month. You might be familiar with subscription crate culture, where everybody gets, these boxes mailed to their house every month. It turns out these are really popular with children and teens and families looking for ways to keep their children engaged and entertained at home. Now, that was not a thing we did before the pandemic, and putting together 1,500 boxes a month is really challenging, but the rewards that we have seen from it, it's not something we would have ever tried before COVID. But the outcomes from it have been absolutely worth it, and I think it's something that will continue for as long as there is interest and demand in the community. The same for virtual programs. I know that most of us are Zoomed out right now with Zoom meetings and things, but it turns out we found a segment of our community that we were missing as our patrons, people that didn't have transportation or that had childcare issues. Now they love the virtual programs, even without pandemic concerns. A lot of moms actually have started attending because their kids could be playing in the yard where they're attending their online program and they don't have to worry about getting a sitter. So I think we'll continue those into the future as well for as long as we can if people are interested in it. The second page of your handout is our tax rate sheet for this year. The board did elect to choose the compensating rate, and that actually resulted in the personal property rates going down. Because of the economic growth in Oldham County, sometimes that just happens. So, David, do you want to say anything about the finances?
Continue, obviously, in a very strong financial position, and Jessica will address it very shortly here. But this being my sixth presentation, I can remember very first saying we are trying hard to do something for Prospect and to get a library building going there, and Jessica will be addressing that momentarily, but I'm very happy to say, finally, it really looks like it's going to happen.
And we are very excited. First, you have the budget. We send this home with you every year. It's very similar to what we did last year. You may notice on there that there's no line item for capital outlay yet. There is no number for that because we are still sorting through both of these projects. You may have read about them in the Oldham Era. There was an article, I believe, last week. Currently, the library is in negotiations with the city of Crestwood to lease the 3-story Stets Manor building. We are in the process of going back and forth with them. The lease has not been finalized yet. And we are also in the process of working with a landowner out in Goshen who is willing to donate a 5-acre piece of property to the library. And we've been working with him for about 6 months now, and we are very close to satisfying all of his concerns and requirements for the property. So we hope that within the next 90 days, we will have wonderful, exciting, firm announcements on both of these projects that we can shout from the rooftops. Right now, we're still in the process of sorting through everything and tagging up all the last little legal details, but both things look very optimistic, and it could be a really exciting time for our libraries coming forward.
All right, thank you. Does any member of the court have any question they'd like to ask about library operations? Magistrate Greenwell.
I noticed here that you said you joined 25 other Kentucky libraries in going fine-free.
Mhm.
What's the incentive for bringing anything back at all if you don't have a fine?
Well, also our fines were about a nickel a day, 10 cents a day. We have found that they were not actually incentivizing people to return things. In fact, it just created a lot of negative customer service issues with moms trying to keep track of. We let parents check out 50 books at a time, which was really good during COVID because they absolutely needed it. But we had found that people were saying, no, don't get those books. I don't want to be responsible for them. I know we'll end up with fines. So it turns out by eliminating the overdue fines, we actually have more people checking out materials, but we haven't seen any excessive loss like you would imagine without that penalty.
Okay, thank you.
Are you guys forgiving old fines as well?
Yes.
People come in and we talk to them. We are not for materials that were lost or stolen or damaged. Those are, people still have to pay for those. But if it turned out that they returned a DVD and it happened to be 5 days late, yes, we're returning those because it's a barrier for families trying to check out new materials.
What is the bonding capacity for the library?
For both of our facilities, not spoken of a firm upper limit, but when we have talked to, we're working with Hilliard Lyons as our bond agent. They do a lot of municipal projects.
Baird, actually.
Oh,
at
it's
this
Baird.
point.
Yeah, now it's Baird. They've rebranded. Right now, we've talked to them at $12 or $13 million for both projects, and they seem very happy and comfortable that we could afford that.
All right. Well, I mean, you have looks like you have $5 million in reserve here, 5.3, and you're if you were to borrow another 7, let's say, that would be, I think, just I'm going to guess, $150,000 or $60,000. Maybe I don't know how much you retire. Maybe $200,000 a year to retire that. So, do you have that kind of flexibility in here without a tax increase?
I think that we do strongly. We've looked at it and we've talked to the agents. Also, our building will
Obviously,
end
of course, we are counting on continued growth in Oldham County, which during my 9 years here, I've seen nothing but, and obviously, I suspect that a lot of support projects take that same approach, and that would certainly be. I personally, I have to say, I don't believe we're going to have to stretch to the ultimate. I mean, the capacity, which is based on formulas, I think would yield more than what we are actually going to need to complete these two hoped for projects.
And our building in LaGrange will be paid off in 2026.
Right. And if you were to reach an agreement with Crestwood about that building, then would you sell the building on Highway 146 in Crestwood?
We haven't talked about it. It's an
Almost
option.
certainly, I would say. I mean, there would be no
reason to have it.
Holding it at that point, and combined with other county property, which it is adjacent, it might be something that could be of interest potentially to the fiscal board.
Magistrate, did you?
That's my question for me.
Okay, well, good. Library, I'm really excited about the North Oldham opportunity. I think it's going to be great. We definitely needed more there for a long time. And this is going to be
itself because if we had a pick of any place along there, honestly, that would be the spot. I think any architect, engineer looking at it would say, ah. And fortunately, like we are going to be able to get it as a gift from a very generous benefactor.
Right. And, well, I don't think it's a secret, is it? I mean, just in case someone doesn't know here, we're talking about the intersection of 1793 and Highway 42.
Across from the high school, which from the standpoint of helping people and students' education, we have always worked very close with the Board of Education, so on, and trying to keep programs together because I know, and I'm sure Jessica, as far as I'm concerned, reading is the start of a good education.
Okay, well, thank you for coming today and sharing this information with us. The next item on the agenda is a presentation from the Ballardsville Fire Department. Happy to have Chief Steve Fonte here today. And, Steve is chief, one of those, primarily responsible for our new aerial response team, along with the deputy chief, Ryan Baker. Guys have done a tremendous job of getting that together. So, appreciate that.
So we set a tax rate of 10 cents on every $100 assessed value. It's been the same for the last several years. Our estimated income is roughly $727,000, $243.83 from the PBA. That we estimate another $30,000 coming in from Shelby County for that portion that we have from them. We have $645,692 in reserve funds. That was as of August 21st, or I'm sorry, August of 2021. You all should have a copy of our actual budget. The only numbers pretty much stay the same. Our payroll, you can see the differences, what we've went up increases. We did put in for, we applied for, actually happy to say we applied for a almost $800,000 grant for Ballardsville, LaGrange, South Oldham, and Westport fire departments for new SCBA packs, and we were awarded that through FEMA. So other than the 20%, we'll have a pretty good cost savings for that, for all the departments involved. So you can see we had to match 10% of that. And then we bought a used vehicle for Chief Baker, Assistant Chief Baker. We bought a Tahoe for him, so that was $25,000 there. But other than that, all the costs are basically what they were, or close to last year.
All right. Anybody have any questions for the chief? Mr. Hans?
Chief, it's no secret that you guys at Ballardsville step up to the plate on a regular basis. And I want to make sure everybody knows that. I mean, the drone team for the aerial response team is huge. Hazmat team, if there's a situation like we had this past weekend, I think you all outnumbered all the other departments with your staffing there. And that's nice. That's great. It's greatly appreciated. The grant, you need to be singing that from the rooftops.
That's
huge. $750,000 to help out fire departments, and that's huge money, especially for Westport, helping them out getting new SCBAs. I know we spent $250,000 back in 2013 for one department, and you're getting all the departments, or those three departments, with the grant money. That's huge. You guys should be patting yourselves on the back.
And I do have a few things to kind of boast on us. Just FYI things for the court. We have 49 members on our roster. Obviously, volunteers are hard to come by anymore. Everyone is super busy. So we're proud of that number. We operate, as you see in our budget, we have 4 paid on staff, minimum Monday through Saturday from 8 to 5, plus an officer typically on duty. We operate through 2 stations. We are instrumental on the Oldham County Task Force. I'm the fire chief of the task force. We do hazmat. Oldham County Search and Rescue. Bill McClay is awesome. He came from California. We actually speaking of the drone team, we had our first use of it last night. There was a police were called out in the city of LaGrange for a missing person, and Chief Baker, took the drone team out, and I won't say that we helped find him with that, but it was nice to get it out. We're still training with that. He's working on getting everyone certified. It's a R107 license that's required to do that. So He's already a pilot. He's a commercial airline pilot, but so he has it. So it kind of worked out with him being involved with the drone team that he oversees all that. We do technical rescue, and then the task force, and obviously the aerial response team. Which, and we want to definitely thank the Rogers Group and Fiscal Court for us working together and getting that taken care of. I think that'll help police, fire, and EMS greatly. We talked about the award for that. And then we have actually had, we had a hazmat Sunday. Yesterday we had a missing person, and then we had a hazmat about a couple months ago. So for something that doesn't get used a lot, we've been very busy with the task force and doing that kind of thing. So search and rescue are our main call outs for that, which police handle those typically, but then what we call the branch leaders of the task force take care of that before the whole team's deployed. But any questions on anything?
Steve, on the $30,000 you're going to receive from Shelby County, is that a formula that they go by, or they just say, we're just going to give you $30,000?
Same as Oldham County tax rate, 10 cents on $100 assessed value.
Know your areas and okay.
We have a list of every address. Basically, we go, they call it LaGrange Road or South Highway 53 all the way to Hinkle Lane, up Hinkle Lane, and where it hits Dover, and then we go down Hannah Road almost to the end of Hannah. So we've got that whole area.
And I guess Pee Wee Valley gets kind of the same deal. Don't you all go into Shelby County?
Do same deal. Different area.
Hinkle Lane, yeah.
Okay, Chief, thank you for being here today. Next item is the report from the LaGrange Fire District and budget and tax presentation. We have Chief Jim Sitzler and legal representative J.D. Tice.
Judge, magistrates, my name is J.D. Tice. I'm the attorney in the LaGrange Fire Protection District. Presentation on our budget, tax rate would be the same, 10 cents per $100 of assessed value, which is the tax rate we've levied for more than 10 years. From that, we anticipate receiving revenue in the amount of $1,893,700. We'll also see about $162,000 in revenue on our budget, which represents an insurance check that we got for a truck that was wrecked last year, allocated the funds repairs this year. So that's the other big ticket on our revenue. Then obviously our biggest expense is our payroll, which is just short of $700,000. In terms of runs, for the fourth straight year, we set a new records for runs. 2020, over 1,000 runs, 1,007 exact. Oftentimes, the range has been out to assist people, just to increase pretty much consistently over the last 6 or 7 years. We have two new pumper tankers scheduled to be delivered hopefully by the end of this month, as well as the truck that I just mentioned. Over. That answer the question.
Do you have anything reserved?
We do, but
didn't show on this report.
So some of that's just we're not allocating. A little complicated too. This is the budget we submitted to the local government. When we submitted it, when it was approved in July, we hadn't yet grant single Ballardsville. We hadn't got notice that it was received yet, so we've got notice that received. There will be at least probably 30,000. I think that we're allocating from capital outlay to cover those breathing apparatuses. Since we don't anticipate any other transfers in reserve this fiscal year, we don't have it necessarily accounted for on the budget, but it would be, you're asking how much money was in the bank start of the fiscal year, it would be around
About 800,000. Is that before your pumper truck, or you say you're buying a new truck?
Right. So that's being those loans being taken out.
It's part of the budget. They've been
Anybody have any questions here?
They one.
Grant?
Said you showed receipts from the insurance for a truck that was in an accident.
Right, so it was, right, so it's just how we account for the revenue on our budget.
So did that money go back to the repair of that truck?
Yes, but we haven't, I guess the money.
The insurance company has paid us $154,000 to repair the truck. But we don't have to pay Pierce. That's who's fixing the truck. We don't have to pay them until we pick the truck up.
Okay.
So we're still, we're out, that's why it shows revenue on this.
Okay. But you did decide to repair the truck.
Yes, it'll be, like I said, it'll be back in.
Oh, I wanted a new one. Trust me. I wanted insurance to buy us a new one, but time they went through all the P's and Q's, it came to about $150.
Okay.
It was going to be over half a million.
Anyone else? Magistrate Woosley.
Just want to acknowledge Amy Alvey, who is Deputy Director of Planning and Zoning, is the chairman of LaGrange Fire, and she runs a very tight ship. So I just want to acknowledge her. She's here today, but she does a very good job on that board.
That's true.
All right, thank you for being here today. Appreciate it. Now we'll move on to bid openings, and we have several here. First one has to do with paving at the road department. Resurfacing there. First bid on item number 1 here, Libs Paving Company. $130,968.99. Next one is from Louisville Paving, $142,277.24. Third item, Riverside Paving, $132,784. Those two sworn here, and our engineer will look at them to make sure apples are being compared with apples. Next item is the fall paving for the road. This is a county bid here. Group 1. All contracting, $1,630,632.79. This is Libs Paving, Floyd's Knobs, $789,196.56.
Get that, Judge, please.
$789,196.56.
Thank you.
The third one is Louisville Paving, $736,621.25. The fourth bid is from Riverside Paving, $794,633.96. The next item is road paving from LaGrange. We'll just announce these. We won't be awarding. It'll be up to the city council. And this has to do with artisan work. First one is from Hall Contracting, $253,765. Louisville Paving, $217,498.59. Riverside paving, $240,576. Fourth, next the bid we're going to open today has to do with a dump truck. The road department. This is from Ewell Truck Sales, $147,522.95. That is the bid. The next item is number 5. This is to replace the air handler units and condensers in the courthouse. We're talking about the fiscal court building here. It's not the courthouse, it's the fiscal court building.
We're in right now. Yeah.
Yeah, right. All right, Alpha Mechanical, $254,294.69. And the alternate bid number 1 having to do with the catwalk, $29,735.45.
29,739.
29,735.45.
Thank you.
All right, we thank all of our bidders for participating today. The next item under county administration are the payables.
Make a motion that we pay the bills.
Any discussion on any item in the bills here today?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
There was an address that was, it said something about a settlement. What is that from? Was that from, I have a feeling it had to do with the FEMA, or maybe it was getting washed out, or that was, I don't know if I should say the address, but Briar. It was Briar, yeah.
Judge, I asked that question earlier. It was a FEMA settlement.
Okay, thank you.
Do you want to explain that, Melissa? No. 1 second. 1 moment, please.
Where was the location of it at? Does anybody,
It was on Briar.
our Ridge or?
Mitigation.
One we overpaid and they had to pay us back.
No, sir. No, this is Jim in here? Or Becky? It's
Okay, that's
mitigation. Yeah.
I know the property, but you want to explain the circumstance.
Jim Urban, Director of Planning and Development for Oldham County. We have been working with FEMA on a number of projects to either elevate or eliminate flood hazard prone properties. And this is one in Briar Ridge. I forget the exact street address, but it's Briar Ridge Road. It was built in the mid 70s down the embankment, actually in the floodplain. And it floods every time it even spits rain practically. So we did this project submitted as the 2018 grant application, and it finally has been approved, and we're ready to close on this. So these payments are for acquisition of the property, and they will be reimbursed through the FEMA grant.
People already moved?
They chose to move before we closed on the property, correct?
Right, it's
due is we will actually put out bids to tear it down, and then we put a deed restriction on the property that it can't be used for any other purposes in the future other than open space. And I think potentially it could be used for a pump station. Okay? It does not back up to 71. It sits on the creek, but it is. It's down the hill, around the curve, and then kind of stuck into the woods a little bit.
As your email.
Yes, Judge, it's important about those deed restrictions because you'll have to watch realtors or they'll sell it again. You know,
We'll own it, so they won't be able to sell it. Yeah.
I'm just saying you got to watch them. You know,
As your ties.
I like how you're looking down that end of the table.
I have a question for Jim. It's kind of related to property, and I'm not sure I'm in order or not. It's have to do with the Westport property. Can I shift gears a little bit, or do you not want to do that?
Can we wait toward the end?
Yes, absolutely. No problem. I just thought he was here. That was the only reason I was doing it now.
I'll stay.
Pardon? Oh, look. Okay, he'll stay here. Next item is under surplus property here. We took a vote, didn't we? We've had a motion in a second. All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Next item now under the community business here. Excuse me, I'm moving too fast. Surplus property. We have a vehicle here. Kevin, you want to tell us about this?
Last week, the coroner called and said that his vehicle that you all authorized purchasing is in service now, and that the 2006 Ford Explorer that had previously been purchased from LaGrange Fire is ready to be surplused. So I have that for you today to surplus that. And as an addition to that, Westport Volunteer Fire Department is requesting that we donate that vehicle to them for parts. They're not going to use it as an in-service vehicle. They have another Explorer down there, and they'd like to take both Explorers and make one operable Explorer. They have that request in.
All right. Promotion that we surplus this property and donate it to Westport Fire.
I'll make that motion as long as we're legal on being able to do it.
Pardon me?
I'd like to make that motion as long as we're legal on doing it.
Yeah, we can give.
Second.
Any discussion on that? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The next item under community business now is the Cdg grant. That are being called evidentiary materials. We've been awarded from federal funds, I believe it is, $200,000 for utility assistance in Oldham County. The Department of Local Government is asking that because this is under the umbrella of Community Development Block Grant, that we agree to sign their procurement code, drug-free workplace statement, a residential anti-discrimination plan, and fair housing regulations. These are standard things to be signed with Cdg grants, and we already have these policies in place in relation to the grant that we helped secure for all the housing there on the 329 pillar. Okay, when they got money to remodel their offices in the Crestwood Station Shopping Center, all of this was there, but apparently we have to agree to it again to get the $200,000 utility assistance. I looked at this a little harder today just because of the environment we live in. I can't say I love all the wording in these requests that we signed. Apparently, we're already under this, under some of these things here. Particularly, I didn't like the one that in the fair housing, it says here that obviously we're going to be fair to everyone in regard to race, religion, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, national origin, and disability or familial status to seek equity under the federal law. Well, to me, that's a kind of a pretty vague statement. And sex, sexual orientation, and gender identity, you know, they seem pretty much the same to me. And in fact, there are only two sexes, male and female. You can say you're a giraffe, but you're really not. It's just something in your head. But they want us to sign these things, and we can't get to $200,000 without signing them. And apparently, we're already on the hook for it. So,
Make your motion.
discussion. Mr. Greenwell.
Going to administer this grant, Judge.
The grant will be administered by KIPTA.
KIPTA, okay. No thought as to Tri-County Community Action Agency doing?
They will, yes, they will get money from KIPTA.
Okay.
For the grant. All right. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Now, under contract resolutions, a litter abatement grant. Becky, document.
Judge, every year we apply for a litter abatement grant from the state, and it is issued on an annual basis on the calendar year. In this current fiscal year, or this current calendar year, we are spending a grant in the amount of $74,122.16. And that amount is based on the number of road miles that are in the county, and that's how the state determines how much money we get. All we need to do is ask the judge to sign this document, making this request for our litter abatement program to continue in 2022.
I'd like to make the motion that we allow the judge to sign this litter abatement grant for 2022.
All right. Any discussion on this? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item number E is the Eaton Parkway extension contract, amendment number 3. Jim Silliman, are you here? I don't see Jim. No. Let's, while you're getting him, we'll go on to number F here, which is, all right, Jim. We'd say you're Johnny on the spot, but let's call you Jimmy on the spot.
Thank you for your patience. I got a lot of folders today. Let me make sure I get the right one for you. What you should have is a contract amendment number 3 for Eden Parkway extension construction. And we're requesting that for some items that were discovered, encountered during construction, cost amendment be approved by fiscal court. The amendment's in the amount of $57,694.53. It's a 50-50 cost share with the city for this project. So the county's share would be $28,847.27. The items that we encountered were while prior to paving, we had to undercut several areas of the subgrade where the material, the in situ existing material was just soft. We couldn't pave over it and leave it there. We wanted a solid base. There was also built in the contract are asphalt and fuel adjustments based on the fluctuating asphalt and diesel indices that KYTC monitors. So just based on the time that they utilize that material or equipment, we either pay more or less based on the value at the time. Again, that's a contract item. And a couple of the other smaller items were the pavement markings in the roundabout that had originally been planned to be more standard, just straight and left lane indication arrows like you see on the highway. And that is acceptable by the Manual of Uniform Traffic Control Devices. However, we felt that being the roundabout being very new concept in Oldham County and a lot of places nearby, we should probably use the fishhook style pavement markings, which are curved and better direct the traffic. So we substituted the fishhook style, and they were just a little more expensive. The other item were 2 inflow dishes for sanitary manholes. There are 2 manholes which is located in a low area. Those are required to keep stormwater runoff out of the sanitary system.
Okay. For motion, we approve this contract.
Move. Second.
Any discussion on it? Adrian House.
This is already what we've already paved?
Sorry, say that again?
We've already paved? So these were in addition to, I guess I'm confused as to where the $28,000 is coming from. No, but I mean, this work's already been done. Proving it after the fact then? We're going to get the funds then for this?
Spoke to Melissa, and that's, I think, to be worked out.
It's not in the budget. So we're going to have to do a budget amendment or take it out of another line item in the road paving budget.
Well, and I would like to say that as we finish out the project is, we'll say 95% complete, and as we balance out, because the pay items are actual, you pay the actual unit that's installed. So for asphalt and stone tonnage items, I think we're going to come in a little under. I don't know exactly how much, but we may recuperate some of that and end up with a little bit less in the end. But I hesitate to say that because it's not done.
Not an exact science, is it?
It's right. That's correct. I don't have that number for you yet, but some of those items did come in low.
In particular, the $28,000 is not a budgeted line item. And Judge, I think some of these need to come through the Finance Committee for discussion. And if we're going to have to try to find the money, it should come through Finance Committee first. That's just an opinion.
Well, this work was done.
Oh, but
I think we can come to the Finance Committee for change orders on road projects like this. We just
no. Saying that, I'm saying because I understand we have to do it, and I understand why we have to do it. But I would think that
going to accomplish
where the money's going to come from.
It's going to come out of our checking account. Same place all the other money comes from. It just wasn't budgeted. The budget is not science, or the budget is a guide, but it's not, intractable, so to speak. And surprises come along, you got to deal with it.
As far as timing, just timing considerations, the subgrade item, that's really something we couldn't wait on unless it would delay the project a month, because these are the proof rolls done immediately before that material's put down. And similarly, the asphalt and fuel adjustment, those, because they're built into the contract ahead of time, it's a fluctuation that it could go up or down. We would have to pay it.
Jim, is this a unit price contract?
That's correct. Yes, sir.
Explains itself.
They should die.
This is just a change order on the roadway construction. It would be, correct me if I'm wrong, Jim, it would be like miscuing, well, like when you build a house, miscuing on how much rock you've got to bust out. You get an allowance for X number of dollars to get the rock out. Well, something that it's just something you don't plan for, but it happens and you have to take care of it. And like undercutting this is what you were talking about, is You know, and we've got, we have another one of these coming our way, another change on the sewer.
Judge, every highway project is bid with the state highway department as a unit price contract. It's X dollars per cubic yard of cut, X dollars per cubic yard for fill, X dollars per cubic yard for Class A concrete, and those are extended and then drops out to the final cost of the project. So it's a very normal thing, building a road. It has to be done that way, especially undercutting, what he's saying right now. That's nobody knows what it is till you start on the project. And if you have bad subgrade, you have to cut it out and replace it.
I mean, we could bring this to road or finance committee, but I don't see where you'd be, you'd be in the same position we are right now.
Agree. I agree. My position is that we would then know where the money's coming out of what account, and that's fine. I understand the rationale, but it makes sense.
They have to take it out of the road paving. Why not? I mean, yeah. It's take it out of something.
Change order, we're making more of it than what it is.
Well, I mean, I think we can move around money within the budget from one line item to another. And we'll have to just have a catch-all change order somewhere down the line to regenerate those funds that are used in one area that were expected to be used in another.
Just an example here. Things that get missed, like on the pavement markings. Well, they chose to go with a different type. Correct me if I'm wrong. They went with a different. Was it a fish hook you called it or something? Different markings, pavement markings in the roundabout, because it was the people like Mr. Silliman and other engineers said that would probably be better than what they had scheduled to put in. And as far as I think the other two, the asphalt adjustment, the fuel adjustment, well, I don't know about why the asphalt adjustment there is just there. I can look at my gas bill and tell you it's been up since this year. You know, so those are things that when they design the road, they don't see these things coming.
An issue with the change order itself. I understand the change order. It makes perfect sense. I don't like it, but I understand it. I'm just asking where the money's coming from. That's my hang up. And it,
Answer that question, budget amendment.
Sooner or later. Okay. We're just kind of stuck here. You know, it's unpredictable events. We have to keep moving forward. That's what we're told. Okay. Any other discussion on this? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.
Judge, how close to we being through with extension of Eden Parkway?
It is open.
Yes, I knew
that. The contractor, Louisville Paving on Eden Parkway Extension is working on some final, we'll call it cleanup, some grading and some manholes that they're touching up. And we hope to have a pre-final walkthrough in probably the next week. When we do that, we'll go through and checklist everything that needs to be done to final it out. So I would hope within a month.
The walkthrough, probably with this addition, we pretty much have a total bill on what the roads cost us.
That's correct.
Okay. If you could give that to us sometime, that'd be just nice to know.
Don't forget the sewers. Sewer bill.
That's for the inspection you're talking about? That's not for construction, so we look at that.
Throw it in there if it's going to be part of our cost.
Part of the road, but we don't know that number just yet. We know what the top number is, but we don't know. I don't want to get into all this right now because I'll get into it another time, but there's two different roads, two different contractors, two different pots of money. One's coming out of
We're discussing Eden Parkway, not East Peak.
But it's all right. But part of the inspection was on Eden Parkway. Some was on East Peak. You got to get the linear feet. I don't want to get into all of that right now, but we don't have the answer yet. Waiting on the city guy to get.
All right. All right. Thank you. It's 3:35. We have been taking 10-minute break around 3:30. Is there a desire to take a break, or do you want to keep moving forward?
For
All right, next item on the agenda then has to do with the jail health services agreement with Southern Health Partners. They are basically increasing this, think about it, it's a very small amount, like 1.5% of this contract, effective 1st of July, go through June of next year, end of June. There's very little change in this contract. Like I say, it's a 1.5% adjustment. So is there a motion to approve?
I move.
Any discussion on it? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Now we have we crossed off the next thing and the agreement with QK4 to study from Mahounds Lane to 329. That's the Dairy Queen intersection in Crestwood. So Linda Demas can review that for us. Thank you.
This is an agreement with QK4 to perform a corridor study for Kentucky 22 between Hounds Lane and Kentucky 329. The study will analyze existing conditions to identify options for improvements. It will examine short, mid, and long-term improvements to prioritize needs, provide cost estimates, quantify benefits of improvement options, conduct public involvement activities, and create a technical report. We are using federal funds for this project, which were approved by Fiscal Court in July. The cost of the agreement is $209,046, which will be paid with $167,237 in federal funds and $41,809 in matching funds. QK4 was selected for this project as part of the KYTC statewide local public agency consultant rotation, and we are asking Fiscal Court to allow Judge Vogel to sign the agreement.
Discussion on this?
2,000, I assume, is matching funds from us. 41 and change.
As should die.
Well, I just want to bring this up again to you yet again. Did you have an opportunity to talk to them about, since they're going to do this study, are they going to pick up that little piece between Hounds Lane and Murphy Lane? Are they going to, or is they going to put a choke point there? They decide to do this road. That'd be in Jefferson County.
I'm not sure I understand exactly. I mean,
In the county line, which would be Hounds Lane back to Murphy Lane, thereabouts. It's
only doing the parameter.
No, but can you tell those people over there that might want to be thinking about that little piece of road that's left in Jefferson? There'll be a choke point.
Misunderstood.
They're going to leave the old road there. It'll be narrow, and then it'll open back up again. So I guess it's one way to control speed. I'm not sure, but I'm sure. I'm just sure as I'm sitting there, they'll say, "Gosh, maybe we should have done that."
Made improvements at Murphy Lane in 22. They've already bought property at Murphy Lane in 22 all the way to Willow Creek to make those improvements. And it would only make sense to take and go from Murphy Lane all the way to the Dairy Queen. It's less than a half a mile distance because you're talking about from the entrance basically to Willow Creek town.
Oh, it should. No, I bet it's not. I bet it's not 1,500 feet from Willow Creek to the county line. It's right by the graveyard. With the signs up, they steal the sign all the time.
Okay, Magistrate Logston.
This a new study? Wasn't there already a study that was done years ago on this portion?
Meet the state standard. The whole picture, the whole area again.
Magistrate Logston, you're correct. I think probably about 15 years ago, HNTV did a study that went all the way from Goose Creek in Louisville out to Abbott Lane. But the conditions have changed, so that's one of the things we're going to use that as a basis for this study, and then examine, do traffic analysis, and then look at recommended improvements along that corridor and prioritize them.
Magistrate Hawkins.
Did you say that the count, we matched around 41,000, right, the county? Did Crestwood put any funds? This would help improve their traffic? Okay. Would that be something we would want to do, Judge, is ask Crestwood to help pitch in for the matching funds, or no?
Well, I'm not sure. I mean,
We had a conversation with Mayor Kramer, and if I'm not mistaken, he said he would participate, but we didn't have a number at the time. There were
you
three.
can ask him again. I mean,
There were three different projects that we talked to him about. Yeah.
we're already, QK4 is already in Crestwood with working on the railroad crossing and, traffic patterns in Crestwood. So they were expected to contribute toward that if a solution is found that KYTC wouldn't cover all the way. I don't know. I mean, we've been interested in widening out 22, getting it better. I don't know just where the city line starts there, but it, they might help. We can ask. It doesn't hurt. Right. Any other comments on this? Right. Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Unopposed, motion carries. Thank you.
We are ready to award the bids if the court agrees with that.
Okay. Want to go forward with the bids?
They're at the bottom. They're on the agenda. Oh, okay.
Dan?
It's all right, I guess, if we can go, if everyone else agrees, we go out of line here.
One bid come in for the dump truck, the new plow truck. It's for Pool, price of $147,522.95. It is the exact truck that we had spec'd out last year. We're going to stick with the same fleet, the old trucks. And the price did go up slightly, obviously, because materials have gone up to build the truck.
How much it's going up?
I don't have the figure in front of me, but how much it went from last year.
Seem like a fair price. Does that seem like an expected price?
We talked to Chris Mann. He'd said that it's going to go up slightly just because of the cost of materials. Steel prices, everything's gone up. So, but yeah, it's not terribly out what it should be.
When do they know when they might deliver it?
He said if we've got 3 slots right now. He said if we go ahead and award the bid ASAP, we're in one of the 3 slots, we can have the truck by July like we normally do next year. If you do not take that bid right now, he cannot guarantee that spot because he has 3 other people waiting in line, and it can take quite a lot longer than that. But he's ready to move.
July of next year.
They're out quite a ways right now. He said Edinger's is the same. They're getting backed up by the day. So sooner the better.
All right. All right, Magistrate Greenwell.
Magistrate Hawkins has got a question.
Sure.
Ben, do you remember maybe a year or so ago, we had a debate up here about the brand of vehicle, and it was there was a difference of opinion. Does this brand that we're getting, is that what most of the fleet is, or is this a different brand?
It is. These are the exact same trucks that we had spec'd out that are all the newer internationals with the Cummins motors in them. That's what we're used to working on. That's what the city keeps parts in the shop for. So we're trying to stick with the same thing. If we don't have a breakdown, we know how to fix it. We don't have to worry about having parts for multiple different brands of trucks.
It's about a $17,000 increase from that.
Figure in front of me, and it sounds probably around. I think the one that said it was like 11.
Off of memory here too. All right, thank you. It doesn't, I know.
Oh, you have got a good memory if you can pull that out. Okay. Oh, you got a little help too there? Okay. Well,
Talking about my memory here.
yeah, well, I don't know. You said if you got a cheat sheet, or you got a memory, you know, which is it?
I've got youth on my side, but that's a believable argument.
Well, we won't comment on that, you know. All right, anybody else? Benjamin Greenwell.
I'll make a motion that we go ahead and buy the international dump truck.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right, thank you. All right, Jim Stillman then.
This is for the fall 2021 countywide paving. I think you saw with the exception of one bid that fell above the mark, the other three were fairly competitive within the $700,000 range. It was the bids are slightly higher than what we had estimated. However, you have to keep in mind the estimate that previous paving cycle we've gotten very low returns. So I feel the results we got seem competitive and recommend more to Louisville Paving.
All right, that's our group one. Which one is it? Which one are you talking about here?
This is Group 1, Fall 2021 County Paving in the amount of $736,000, $736,621.25.
Good job. I'll make that motion.
Discussion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next one, group two. So we're not going to do group. How about the resurfacing of the road?
So the LaGrange, they'll award theirs at their city council. Well, they'll consider theirs for their city council.
Right, but we have the paving at the road department here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's the first one on my bid award. That's why I'm a little confused for a second there.
Yeah, I think we had to, let's see, we're going to go with Libs. It's the lower of the three. Riverside came in at 132, Louisville Pavement at 142, Libs is at 130, 968, 99. Basically, we talked about that's our entire facility, going to be repaved and adding some additional pavement to the sides of the facility before we can use for storage for some of our equipment to kind of get it out of the rock.
All right. Mr. Greenwell.
Judge, I'll move that we award the bid to Libs for $130,968.99. Okay.
Any discussion on that? As should I.
Mr. Sullivan, I noticed in your asphalt, you putting the fiber in it. When did we start doing that? I don't remember. Either it was in a different spot on other bids. The first time
I think we started the first package I was involved in. It's a fairly minimal cost for
it's good. Yeah,
product and insurance.
Give you life. The first time I saw that, I said that's good money. Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, motion carries. Right. And we did the dump truck, Joe Kelly, air handlers. These are, it says they're courthouse, but these are actually for the fiscal court.
Accept Alpha Mechanical's bid, $252,294.69. That would be for the air handler and boiler replacement. And an alternate bid of $29,735.45. That will be to put a catwalk around the existing air handler we installed about a year ago for safety concerns.
Make that motion, Judge. Motion approved.
Exercise.
Did you say about a year ago?
Air handler on this building,
Yes.
it was replaced roughly a year ago, and we need to put a catwalk around it for safety concerns.
You didn't do that then?
That was not done.
Okay.
We didn't realize it was going to set that high up. And now that we see how high it is, it's not safe for a person to work on a ladder on it.
Measure Greenwell.
We talked about this in finance about putting in the catwalk and about how it's a safety concern, and I'm fully in favor of that. The question I have is, down here it's got a budget of 260. Was that just for the air handler, not the catwalk? Okay, good deal.
Anyone else?
That's actually a code that you have to have this catwalk and handrail around rooftop units.
We had a motion. Okay. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carried. What? No. I'm going to ask the court here. Earlier, we passed over the Artisan Park subdivision question because we didn't think it was fair to have others have to wait since they were scheduled earlier on the budget. There is no one to wait now other than staff, so let's go ahead and pardon? Okay, we can take care of that quickly. All right, go ahead, Melissa. Let's.
Yes, sir. The HR and Grants and Technology Committee met. We met for 2 months. I think we've interviewed 4 different companies. We've decided on Toshiba to be the new company that represents the printers and the copiers. I'd like to make the motion that we allow the judge to sign all related documents.
All right.
Second, then we can discuss it.
All right. Second discussion. We want to discuss that.
We met with 4 different companies. These are the best. I talked to, they're already in the building. I talked to Julie. I talked to the sheriff's department. I think these are the best people.
All right. Mr. Greenwell.
Who's our current supplier?
Sharp Copiers from XBE is the name of the reseller.
You going to train everybody how to use your copy machine, Toshiba? All right.
Put a lot of time into this also.
Ezra Hawkins.
After we heard the pitches from the 4 companies, Toshiba was going to come back and give the numbers, and I see that there's numbers here. Did those line up pretty much with what was in their pitch? I mean, I assume so.
And the numbers are slightly different because we added an 11th machine. Okay, so if you go back to the original, we only had 10 in the bid. The CID building with police, the detectives building, they need a machine.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Toshiba, for your good quote. Now let's go on to the under item J, number 2, Artisan Park here.
Thank you. I think you've heard a broad range of the discussion already during public comment, but if it pleases you, I'll just give a quick summary that I was going to present in the first place or at this time to, again, try and refresh everyone. The Artisan Park subdivision, it is a subdivision in the city limits. We know that after the developer went bankrupt in around 2012, John Carter had reached out to Travelers Insurance to file claim for the performance bonds, which there's 2, one in the amount of $15,000, one for $13,000, and then an erosion control bond for $22,000. They responded. Travelers responded to him requiring more information, and for reasons I don't have answers to. That information was to come from either the engineer's office at that time or somewhere else. And I don't think John Carter got it back, so he wasn't able to respond. More recently, after discussions with the HOA and the city, understanding their concerns for wanting to get this pavement completed and surface down, we did get that information assembled and to Mr. Carter, who then gave it to Travelers, and so they're in discussion. I think that's we discussed or talked about that already. In this discussion with the city, and the city's been coordinating more with the HOA than we have, but one of the potential ways to address this we discussed was if the three parties, the county, the city, and the HOA, were to share the cost 1/3 based on the bids that were received today. Now, based on the bids, whether they're awarded or not, that may have to be postponed because of the amount that came in today. But it does open the conversation resolving the issue, and then later another thing that we'll find out later is how much we'll get back in the bonds, whether it's 50 cents on the dollar or what. That's going to come up now. So kind of the summary of where we're at.
All right. Mr. Carter, you have, what is the maximum amount that based on the face value of the bonds under consideration that we can recover?
26,000 on the road bond, and it's going to cost 67,000 and some odd dollars to put the road in proper condition. And there's a $22,000 erosion control bond.
Okay, I missed the second.
Some of the bonds have been released prior to that. I don't know which ones were released and which ones were not.
A portion of the erosion control bond, it had been reduced. I don't have the date, but many years ago, it was reduced to 22,000.
So, but we're not talking about erosion control here. So, or does it have some?
We have erosion control bond. We just haven't got a cost of doing it, and the county engineer says that that's going to be more than the cost of the $22,000.
So, in the best case scenario, that adds up to 50,000.
Right.
So that is the maximum. If they met the entire obligation, the way we think they should be that. All right. This was discussed at the road committee this morning, and no decision was, issued by the road committee. I don't know exactly where to go with this. With those bids over $200,000, as I recall, what?
Or do you remember what your amount?
Lowest was 217.
No, 217 was the smallest.
Mm-hmm.
Exclusively for Artisan Park. That was other paving as well.
Oh.
Oh.
A little bit high. We can actually do in-place paving cheaper, but it came out to $84,729.
Oh.
$1,729.71, which we had got that's just curb work and sidewalk stuff. But I'd got a bid, but previously to do in place through state contract, it came out to $58,000. It's a little bit inflated right now, so we can actually get it cheaper, jumping on the state contract price, which I need to verify. 58.
$58 lots.
She said 48.
48, sorry.
Yeah, not even that left. I think there's only 3 or 4 lots left.
58 lots, 48 houses.
GIS, there looks like about 6 lots, but I mean, I know this map is a year or two old.
Jim, can you compare that to the other two? Did they also bid artisan, split out, and get an idea that way? If this bid is in line.
Price was higher than what we received for our county bids, but it's a smaller location, so that of course drives the price up.
As your logs,
And before we set a precedent here, Celebration Park in Crestwood and Claymont Springs in Crestwood had the same problem. The city went in and fixed that problem. So I don't want to set a precedent here where we do something here and Crestwood didn't get the same treatment. So it's just something we got to be careful with.
Crestwood come to fiscal court and ask. City of Crestwood come to fiscal court and ask.
I haven't worked it out with the subdivision.
well, that's a relevant question. They didn't ask for any help. They felt they didn't need any. You know, I mean, that's your Greenwell.
Judge, I thought we left this in road committee that until John Carter determined whether or not it was illegal to spend this money, that we couldn't even consider it. And then since that time, I can come up with at least 2 other instances. One with the same developer where we did not chip in any money, and then another one that was brought to us, Yacht Club Estates, where they wanted us to help pave that, and it's not our road. We can't pave it, you know. So, I mean, we do this, we're setting a new precedent here.
Measure Tice.
No matter how you feel about it, we can't do it. When John Carter walked into the meeting, into the roads meeting, the question was, can the county spend money on city road? The answer was simple, no. Another question to ask is, was Artisan Park in the city at the time that it started? The answer was yes. So therefore, that goes to the discussions as we hold the bonds for all the planning and zoning people because the city and the other parts of the county don't have engineers. That's the only reason we have custody of it, but we keep them. Our people did everything right, checking that they were about to expire. And apparently Carter had talked to them back in 2012. So our people had checked it. They're about to expire, which got him alerted. There was nothing involved, and you pass the buck between, well, it's the county or the city recognize it. Well, you can say either way, but if I was in the city and I knew one bankrupt and I had a subdivision, I'd sure be calling the custody holder of the bonds. So whatever the case is we're just not liable for it. And I just think it puts a no, we can't do it. Now, to help the situation, back when Kevin Eldridge was on fiscal court, he laid out a plan on a couple of roads, one of them in Warwick, and I think another one, I can't remember that one, to where advised, and the city would be responsible for the city for the subdivision owners, property owners, how they could go about and do that. So there is a form intact that they could find out how to get it done and get it done. And then whatever money comes back that we're able, not we, but is able to be acquired, then obviously is the city's money. And that money would be passed off. But it's just illegal for us to add county money to it.
I measure die.
Which is right. The Celebration Park was one of my district at the time, and take the same a similar scenario what Manager Tice said when the Briar Hill Road District. They used to have a lot of road districts up there at Briar Hill, not Briar Hill Estates, but Briar Hill Farm. They collected money for the road district, and they actually inadvertently let the road district thing kind of go to default. Then they come out with these SPGEs, and it all got had all come back together again. And I think John Carter might have been involved with Barry Baxter was, he lives on that road. And they came to us and wanted to get pulled into the county system. And they had to put in cross drainage ditches and widen it. And Steve, I think you might remember some of that.
Used to be my bus route.
Gleaned ever property to do that. Not the same situation like this, but it's not like the things are going on. But Mr. Carter says we can't do this and do this legally, then we just can't do it.
Hey, John, your name's come up here a lot. The discussion here is, I'll ask you if, as presented, is it, in your estimation, illegal for us to provide assistance? Number one. Number two question, is there an option out there that you think might be available for us?
Off the top of my head, but we couldn't spend county money to pave city roads. But I would check with Rich Orenstein and ask him whether we can do it under any circumstances. Because he gets presented with all these problems, and he might know an answer. Other than that,
based on
the road's not a county road, it's not a city road though, right? It's owned by the HOA or it's owned by the developer.
anybody, yeah, what's in the city?
Who owns the road?
The travelers.
Houses pay city taxes.
Taxes as well.
That's what,
If the bonds are not going to complete the final cost of the project, why do we collect bonds to begin with? Why do we bother with it? It's not going to finish the project out.
Measure Woosley.
Earlier, in worst case scenario, the bonds, even if there hadn't been a problem, would never cover the cost at today's cost to do it. And I'm not too sure at that time they would have done it. It's been several years, 10 years or more.
It gets worse.
Yeah. Like my dad said, you can get out of the hole, quit digging.
Measure Woosley.
Is Eden Parkway in the city system, or is that considered a county road? Corey?
Oh.
Eden Parkway, is that in the city system?
No, it is in the city.
Maintain it, or does the county maintain it?
Currently maintaining it.
And we spent money on it earlier today. I'm getting that.
Yes.
Or Boulder Reserve.
And we also spend money on state highways, spend county money on state highway.
Could we do that?
Yeah. Plant trees along county roads. We've maintained county roads. We're looking at an engineer to widen a state road. And we're looking at probably $20,000 to bring a subdivision up to standard to where it can then be maintained. The county dropped the ball here, not the city, not the residents. I feel like it's our responsibility to then help them out in fixing this.
As you like it.
Judge, who approved the subdivision or the road to start with? That's question number one. Who set the bond amount? Who inspected the work that was done on the base course as far as that went? And then whose responsibility is it to collect the bond when they went bankrupt? So somebody needs to fill in those blanks to set the responsibility of where this lies.
For that is the county.
You mean the planning and zoning is the county only? Is it a joint function between the county and the city? But are you saying that planning and zoning is strictly a county function, or is it a joint function handled by the city and the county?
That's the layman's interpretation of it, but the legal answer is the party who is the owner of this bond and has the legal rights to enforce it is Oldham County Fiscal Court.
Only because the city doesn't have an engineer that would.
Planning commission. Yes.
The city is not even mentioned in here. It wasn't not a city road, and area of space is conjoint. Okay, it's owned, it's part of the county, it's part of the city. Not a city road until it's dedicated by the owners and accepted, either of which have occurred. So the city has no legal obligation to do this. Okay, this happens in a lot of small towns as they go from gravel roads to pavement. You see this a lot. They all want their roads paid for free, and just routinely answered. It's like, you get enough people up, we'll do it, we'll tax you. That's not the situation here. The contractor here is Jordan River Artisan Park LLC. The owner is Oldham County Fiscal Court. Where the city of LaGrange has no standing, there's no legal rights in here other than as the beneficiary, third-party beneficiary of the contract, which creates a very interesting contract law issue. All the negligence and breach of contract and all this stuff, but we're not wanting to go down that route. We're just trying to come up with a reasonable, rational, way to settle this that's fair to all fair to all concerned. Rotary things, all concerned. And that's what we're trying to do here, is just come up with a reasonable solution. We're not asking you to pay paving company. I would characterize this as a reimbursement to the city. Okay?
That's not going to happen. We'll pay the paving company if we pay anything at all. We don't owe it to the city.
What if we fund it all? Well, if you want to pay the company, you can however you wish.
There's your Greenwell.
I propose, in fact, I would move that we table this.
Motion on the floor.
I think we need to have a little more research from Mr. Carter on this. I think there's a matter of agree with you, a matter of fairness in the thing. But there's also the matter of legality, and sometimes what's legal is not fair. But if there's I'm in favor of doing it if there's a way that is legal that we can help. I think we do have some culpability here. That's my opinion, in the sense that this slipped through the cracks a long time ago. It was like the ride. I don't know. It was in the city. We've had, 2 or 3 mayors since then. We have had a couple of county engineers since then. Going around and trying to say who's responsible for this or who goofed up. You can't really get to the bottom of that. There wasn't anybody that tried to make a mistake, but it was just, an error that was something that was missed. Oh, it's not fair to the people that live there. I'm sympathetic with the lady that's come from the subdivision here, whose children are trying to play in the street, or have to deal with stuff at the bottom of your driveway there, you said. Want to treat everybody like I want to be treated. Yet we're not here to just give away without some rationale public resources. Sympathy alone is not enough to overcome the fact that it has to be legal. Well, I think we probably should just all go forward. I think if Corey's right here, you could go ahead and pave it, and then it looks like maybe a worst case situation. Every homeowner would have to be on the hook over a period of 5 years or something for $1,500 if the city would go ahead and pave it and put it on the tax bill. That would be reduced by any amount that Mr. Carter could collect. Am I wrong with that?
I don't know how Crestwood did that. I cannot find a KRS statute that authorizes local government, city government to do that. Tax, private property, private.
Lien on there for that amount?
Well, if they will consent to it, if the HOA would consent to each individual having a partial lien placed on their property for the pro rata portion of their share, in fact, we're not talking that much money. If we could do this 2020 thing, then it would probably be about $500 to $700 or $800 per home. Okay. And then anything that can be recovered from the lawsuit will help offset anything that the government would have to go through. So we're just asking not so much that you write us a check, but just a commitment up to a certain amount. That would be approximately 20 grand. That the city would commit to 20, the county would commit to 20, the homeowners would commit to 20. We can get it done probably for under that, less anything that, and if there's any recovery from the lawsuit, that would be allocated equally, probably, or split somehow or other, to offset the costs of government. The government has no obligation, either one of the governments have any obligation to do this. We're thinking that the parties, the government portions, would split any recovery from the lawsuit that the county has had to fund. I mean, you know, John, these lawsuits aren't free, right, John? So, I mean, you had to file a filing fee, litigation, there's going to be a mediation. Those are all expenses that have been borne by the county as part of the bond oversight.
Measure House.
Carter, what's the timeline, best case scenario you think this is gonna, I mean, if we go to arbitration or mediation, I mean, I know how that works, but is there a timetable set for any of this to happen?
Well, the mediation is set for October 28th.
October 20th?
Yes.
Ask the,
Okay, Magistrate Hawkins.
I've got a question for the HOA VP. When you said 60% of the residents in Artisan Park signed a petition stating that they would help fund this, did they have any idea how much amount that they were committing to on that?
An exact figure because we don't know. We're still working on bids, but told them anywhere between $500 to $1,000. Given the fact that we counties, so no, we needed 60% quorum. We have 60% of the signatures, full well knowing that they will be paying anywhere between $500 to $1,500, depending on how this all turned out.
And Jim Silliman, a question for you. Does it meet the, as far as the width of the road and things like that, that we've been in lots of conversations about, does it meet those standards?
So all that's missing right now is 2 patch repairs and placement of the asphalt surface.
To bring it to that would be,
Which you, 84,000 is the bid that we received today for that portion.
yeah, up to standard. Okay. And then the 58,000 and change was for what, Corey?
Part of the in-place paving bid on state contract price, which we can afford. They even have it with me.
If you're not aware of what that is, the state has a contract, I believe they do it annually with a contractor, set unit rate for asphalt and some other common construction prices. And cities and counties are able to take advantage of that on a different timetable than did it, but that's the unit price Corey was using.
But I believe it's typically, if as long as it's 500 tons or more, it's $70, 70 or 72. So. But the bid they gave me for that was 58,305.43.
we have to bring it up to standards first with that 84,000.
That's just a separate bid for the same work.
58,000 would bring it up to bid, and
Same amount of work.
I ask you to all stand in the middle, please. We record these meetings. We can't pick up anybody off mic.
No better. When all this came up, it's just the time has accelerated. The price has gone up from like 38,000 to 58,000 just due to inflation.
Trey Logston?
There's a couple things going on here. First of all, I agree with Magistrate Greenwell. We should table this until at least we find out from Rich Ornstein if we can even do what we're doing. Number two, mediation is going to go on what, October or November? October. So we shouldn't even be doing anything. We're basically negotiating for the mediation people right now. So I think this thing needs to be tabled until at least then. Number three, if we do this, what about all the other subdivisions that got in and kicked in the money to fix their roads? Are we going to give their money back to them? I mean, there's a lot of issues here.
Contributing to paying for this. We are. And also, what happened with did they have a bond? Did they have money allocated? We know.
A lot of subdivisions in Oldham County, it's in the same situation you're in.
Fine.
Them up and put up the money, bring them up to standards.
We're willing to pay that. That's not it. I didn't know how the other.
I think this thing needs to be tabled until we get through mediation.
Good day.
I think we need to wait for. I think cooler heads need to prevail here. How long has this road's been sitting with its underlayment coat since out? When? 2006. Well, I'm going to tell you a real quick story. I live in Glen Oaks, and recently they had to mill down and resurface the newest road in the subdivision, because it was the last road that was put down, the underlayment, and they came in and put in you had the bond money, the same kind of situation you're going through, and I'm the HOA president before I was a magistrate, and they paid the road. Mr. Silliman can tell you that road fell apart, and they had to mill it down. So I don't know what kind of condition your underlayment is in. And if even what you're trying to do is even going to work for you. I know I know what you're talking about. I've been down that road. Okay, and I had some other subdivisions as a magistrate the same way. I get what you're saying. So I'm feeling to that. But I think first we need to find the legalities of it. And we've thrown a lot of numbers around there. How many houses? How many lots? We've had some numbers from here, and then numbers from here. We don't have any real numbers yet. We come back from the mediation. Mediation will be done in one day. You say that's right, Holmes? I'm sorry. Beach.
Yeah, it's usually done in 10 minutes or a couple hours,
We'll know October the 29th.
I'm not actually invited to the mediation, so I'm not allowed to participate because the mediation is solely between Travelers Insurance Company and Oldham Fiscal Court. So, but Mike, I don't think, asking your question, whether we're setting a precedent here, I don't think anybody's trying to set any new precedent that every time somebody has a rundown road that they can come and ask for special treatment. I mean, there's still, if you live on a private road, it's your responsibility to bring it up to standard. That's what these folks have been told for the last 14 years. Okay. And until Marissa came along and created a majority of people saying, come on, there's still 40% of them that don't want to do it. So they can come up with 100%, and the city still can't do it because there's no law that allows a city that I've been able to find any law that allows the city government to tax that, create a tax for construction of roads. There is one for the county, and you've probably had Francis Avenue come up 1,000 times, right?
Still haven't done it.
Right. And Mike, you know, you lived on, you,
I've been here.
That, I agree. That was my first question. Whose responsibility is it? I don't, and I'm not for city or for county. I don't know it's gray. It's like we just don't know. Like it seems just stuck in the middle. And unfortunately, until you can't get this done, nothing else gets done. Lights are out. No one's paying for them. I'm working with pay. It's just,
Doesn't your streetlights come out of your HOA funds?
nope, they weren't, but they are now. No, but it's like nobody will take ownership for anything you help with until you belong to somebody. So it's kind of bigger than just.
I'm making a suggestion because I've been down this road. You need to get a number that's a firm number after the mediation. Get a firm number and say, okay, this is going to be your part. And that's the way you can go from there. But we're up here just blowing in the wind on these numbers and prices and all of that and what we can and cannot do. And I don't think anybody in this court, I'm only speaking for myself, but I'm not willing to, I'm not prepared to go in any shape of imagination.
One thing that makes this situation different than some of the other roads that we've talked about to incorporate into the system is that they didn't intend on moving into a private road. They intended on moving into a road that would be maintained. It was the builder that went bankrupt. So I think that intention is important in making our decision too.
And I just to mention during like all of our closings, it was never brought up by Palmer Cole or Billy Delker, who took LLC, as to collection of money per residence to put forth towards this. They were supposed to, I mean, I've heard from, and again, it's hearsay, right? But there should have been an escrow account up after each home is built. A certain amount of money was set aside, so we wouldn't have to going through this right now. But yeah, we didn't know. Nobody had mentioned to us during closing that he would be responsible for this at this time.
All right, I think we have to let Carter, you be able to make contact with other council and have additional information at our next meeting. About what? Well, you were going to talk with Rich Ornstein. Well, no, it says
His answer is you can pave any roads you want to, but be careful about subdivision roads. That's his answer.
Well, this is our Rubik Cube. It's not exactly clear, right? It's just unfortunate, probably to get the ball rolling. I mean, you wait till the end of October to hear how this mediation goes. You're going to miss another paving season.
It's back where I was. Our roads can't get anywhere. I don't think they'll make it another winter. If we get another bad one,
The road will make it. Will you make it? That's the question. Yeah. Hey, the road will be there, but will you make it? I mean, in other words, it's terrible. I know it's terrible. I think what you have to do to be the practical advice that is coming out of here, and I know there's you don't like a lot of what you're hearing. Probably it seems like a lot of rough edges, and everybody here is a good-hearted person who wants to do the best legally, but we can't do illegal things either, and we are very careful about setting precedents because we have to live with them. I think there's a lot of extenuating circumstances here that may not be. Other people want their road paved. They didn't have a bond crash on it years ago, didn't get picked up by somebody. There's a lot of circumstances that don't follow through to every other thing that's out there. But my advice, unless somebody has better here, would be to get your people together. Everybody commit $1,500 if you got to put it on your Visa card. Get your money together. Get your paving done now, and we'll keep working on the money to see if we can get some recovery later. But through the mediation process. But that's the only way you're probably going to get this done as quick as you want it done. I don't. You hear what everybody hears. You hear what the attitudes within the court here is that it's sympathy, but a circumstance that is of no one's making, or no one we can determine who's making. Anybody have a better idea than that? And pardon? Well, it wasn't legal advice; it's just practical advice. I think.
We'll reassess after we find out what the final number is.
Oh yeah, when you get the mediation and so forth, I think any money that comes out of that, we're definitely going to turn over to somebody. Mr. Carter, who would it be? You there?
Money after mediation, Mr. Carter, will go to where?
Why don't we come back next month with more facts and then we can do some more of this legal research to find out what the liabilities and potentials are for the rule against private public monies for private purposes.
Read your KRS 178-210 since you mentioned it earlier, but the amount's not that high. I mean, 58,000. It doesn't seem like we would need to go into this KRS and
Think so.
talks about a special election and whatnot.
Those things are a pain.
Expensive.
Let me. I don't want to drag this out any further here, but if the bond would have been collected, who was responsible for hiring the paving company to go in and do the paving?
Bond company. Bond company. Once the complaint, there's a statute of limitations of 15 years, but there's a contractual obligation of 2 years. Okay, so one of the affirmative defenses that they have filed in their answer is that our complaint is well, this is all legal schmeagle stuff, but there's more to this than just the statute of limitations of 15 years for contracts. We're looking at whoever was the civil engineer for the county back in 2008 or 9. Probably should have done an inspection and made a claim back then. But we'll find out. I'm told that there's a file that's this thick of everything. I'm not sure exactly. I haven't been privy to it. So we're trying to do everything, get this done before the weather goes bad. Okay, and if we wait until October, the end of October, to make any steps, it's the same. Corey's been in for 6 years. It's like, well, maybe next year.
Jim Sullivan agreed with that. That what he just said, that if we have anybody that defaults on a bond and that bond money is supposed to pave the road in the subdivision, it's up to the bond company to hire the contractor to complete that? Or would we take bids on that job?
I'd have to research that. I'm not sure.
Hey, 2 or 3 people know here.
Reading the contract. I'm just reading the contract, and it says if the owner, that's the county, has performed all their obligations, then the surety and that's travelers, may promptly remedy the default or shall promptly complete the contract in accordance with the terms, the contract being the obligation to build a road by the contractor, who is Jordan River, or obtain bids for completing the contract in accordance with its terms and conditions. So, but this is only for $13,000 for section 1. Okay, so they could have hired somebody to complete the job for $13,000, but since it's going to cost a whole lot more than that, then $13,000 is just deemed to be what they're going to pay. Okay, we can't make them pay more than that, the cost to complete, because this is not a cost to complete contract. This is a fixed amount. Hope that.
There another beach, wasn't there another performance bond as well? No, erosion control was 22,000. Yeah, and then 2 performance.
And section 2.
So
Okay, well, I think we've done as much as we can do today on this. Why don't we, we'll look into it, but my best advice is you all need to get your community together and move forward with or without it in the city. I wouldn't wait for somebody else to come in and save the day. This is the way it is in a lot of places. You got to step up and take care of it yourself. And I hate to say that, but I know, I appreciate you for doing that. Somebody has to, that's probably part of the reason. Maybe you haven't had it in your leader, in your community other before you. Okay. All right. Thank you all. And thank you. The next item here is to the recommendation to release the performance bond for reserve. It was free.
You forgot the glean.
Excuse me. Okay. The print is so fine on today's agenda here that I'm skipping things. All right. Well, I found it here. All right. Magistrate Likens or Logston.
Yes, sir. Committee met this morning with the recommendation to, in your packet, you have a program from Glean of Kentucky. They came to us and wanted us to give some money to them this morning. We met at 9 o'clock this morning. Agreed with, because of the predicament of the state, the county, and all the money that's eating food. We agreed to give them $15,000 one time, money that would come out of the grant fund. On your
All right, Glean. There were 3 representatives from Glean that came this morning to the Human Resources Committee and asked for immediate consideration. As you know, we had agreed to fund earlier a work program for inmates that we were able to fund in 1 year, but not in the second year because of COVID. That was $12,500. They did not get at that point. And this program was substituted for that because it in their mind seemed like a very appropriate program. It's to help hire an individual who will coordinate the collection of food from a lot of different sources, grocery stores, maybe restaurants, in the field, a lot of places, and provide this food to food banks that give out assistance to people on daily or even weekly basis. So that they asked for a one-time contribution. They said they're very close to be able to start this program. They've had assistance from Norton Brownsboro or Norton Healthcare, from who else did they say there this morning? A couple other Humana, but they don't want to start the program until they have enough money together to make a 3-year commitment to sign contracts with all the different entities involved to be able to fund this for 3 years. They're $15,000 short of that. They asked if we would step up and make a one-time contribution. And
But you did mention this is Oldham County Community Foundation, right?
right, this is sponsored by the Oldham County Community Foundation, which is also, they said, providing money to this effort as well. So,
Make the recommendation.
the committee voted to support it.
I'll make the recommendation. We give a one-time $15,000 grant to the Oldham County Community Foundation in care of the Glean program.
Any discussion on it? Magistrate Hawkins?
I've got a couple of things with this. I feel like they have circumvented the whole grants process that all the other 501c3s in the counties have to go, and the county has to go through. And it takes several months for that committee to agree upon how much of the allotted money each one will get. I'm not in support of them going outside of the process that everybody else has to go through. Excuse me. High Point is they do great work as well. So does the Pregnancy Resource Center, and they've all been hit by COVID. I would say if there is a push to do something like this, we could resurrect the Oldham County COVID-19 Relief Fund again. That was in conjunction with Erica Price's.
Well, I plan to do that actually. It just you've gotten a little bit ahead of me there, but I plan to do that. All the United Way came 2 weeks ago, and I asked how much they would like. They said, well, 2 to 3 million. So this is a pittance in relation to what other people are asking for. Right now, I have on my desk a request from High Point. They're trying to build a commercial kitchen to feed people. They've asked for $100,000. 2 weeks ago, LaGrange gave them $50,000. So I'm in favor of staying within our cycle, for the most part. But again, the cycle is not a straitjacket. These people would like to start this program now. They are, short enough to begin the program. And we had committed funds earlier that we never did have to give, so to speak. And this is a new program. Most of the people that are on the grants program are, for lack of a better term, repeat recipients. This is something that hadn't been out there every year, year after year after year. So, and I would like to restart with you and Magistrate Hawkins, Hounds and Magistrate Dye. Again, like to ask you to come back together with United Way and really go through the social service agencies in the county and see where the needs are. I mean, if we're overlooking things, if things aren't being done that could be done, or if they're in good shape, then we need to know that too. So Tri-County and the Pregnancy Resource Center and High Point and these people provide want to provide a lot of assistance for the Grace and Glory Church on 42.
American Red Cross.
Said that there's a lot of people there. Did you say every Wednesday?
It is every Wednesday.
A big, lineup. So apparently there's a lot of food that runs out of the expiration date in stores and winds up in dumpsters. So this is an effort to try to salvage that, get ahead of that, and get it out to places where people are, needed. So if this were one of our normal recipients, I'd say yes, come in back in the spring, but spring is a long time from now,
Sure, they all have urgent needs, and this sounds like an urgent need. I just don't want to set a precedent that it's okay to circumvent the committee or the process of.
Well, the committee hadn't been circumvented.
I didn't mean to say committee. I meant to say the process that everybody goes through to get a grant from the county.
I believe they were trying to get in on the fall harvest was the reason that they were trying to get this going right now.
But there's always an urgent need with any nonprofit to raise funds. I mean, it could be Creasy Mahan had an urgent need to get their ADA compliant part of their play set. So they put in an application for the grant for the county, and we gave the money during that process, during the grant process.
Maybe we need to have a broader vision than what we can do in a 30-day period at the end of the fiscal year. The year is 12 months, and the committee meets every month. So, and the same people get the money all the time. I mean, we're not that they don't deserve something, but I can understand your point, but that's just the way it went this morning. Any other comment on this? Mr. Greenwell.
Are they a 501c3 or are they just using the Oldham County community thing as a 501c3 to get the money? Because the bylaws are they have to be a 501. Are they?
They're actually, this program's been in Lexington 10 years. So they're trying to expand it across the state. Any further comments? All right. Do we have a motion in the second? All right. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Aye.
I think that motion carried 7-2. Thank you. Next item would be, now somebody help me again here. Okay, performance bond here, road committee, Mr. Greenwell.
Road committee met today and voted to endorse the release of the performance bond for the reserves at L'Esprit, Section 1. And I'll make that motion.
All right, moved and seconded. Mr. Sullivan, you want to make any comment on that?
None other than that, since this is in the city of LaGrange, you don't have to make a motion to accept the roads into your road system. That'll be done by the city. This is just to release the performance bond and
the amount, Jim?
$53,229.30. Corey Rusnick, Director of Public Works of the city, is in concurrence with this. I'm sorry, Corey Rusnick with the Director of Public Works of the city is in concurrence with this release. It'll be a city street. We don't have to take it into our system. We don't. That's correct.
Actually should not have been on.
All we're doing is the bond. All we're doing is the bond.
I'm just clarifying that we're only releasing the bond if approved.
All right. We have a motion and second on that. Okay. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Next item is the recommendation to replace the current pavement rating system with the Pacer-based system. Jim, would you like to review?
Please only log in the computer real quick. Continuing my theme of asphalt and paving today.
$1,000.
been in discussion with the road department, and as we coordinate directly with the road department on the biannual pavement ratings, and discussed this further at a road committee in May of this year. The current pavement rating system, which is it's an older rating system that the county's been using. It's based on 10 criteria. Each criteria has a 1 to 10 rating scale, so it results in the 1 to 100 or a 0 to 100 rating. Recent experience has shown us that it's giving us some non-representative ratings on some of these subdivision roads, and to correct that, and that can be for two reasons. One, just the way it's set up with these multiple criteria, some can outweigh other more critical in certain areas. And then also, if we have multiple people, multiple personnel doing ratings or performing the ratings, you get a little bit of differentiation there. So we're trying to correct both those. The PASER system is the Pavement Surface Evaluation and Rating System. So an acronym, and it's developed by the University of Wisconsin. I've used it in the past, and I think it's going to address our issues in that it's a 1 to 10 scale. I think you should have been included a PDF of this to review prior to the meeting. I'm just kind of flipping through it on the screen. But the booklet that we can get from the University of Wisconsin and that is also online just gives some very simple, very detailed pictures of what the rating 2, 3, 4, 5 are. So it's going to eliminate that personnel issue of who's rating the roads. It should be much more consistent. In addition to eliminating the 0 to 100, a 1 to 10 is going to be more consistent. So again, I'd taken this before the road committee in May of 2021, and the road committee agreed that this is a good move, and I wanted to come forward to the fiscal court and get fiscal court approvals also, fiscal court's approval also to replace our current system with this PASER system.
Mr. Greenwell, do you have a recommendation?
Judge, the road committee did vote back in May to recommend this as our new pavement management system. I guess, and I will make that a motion, and then we'll have some more discussion.
And moving back in it now, discussion.
Are we going to institute? Are we going to make this happen after the first of the year?
So our idea would, and Andy Rankin is currently who's doing most of the inspections for the road department. As soon as he's ready to start the ratings for the next biannual review, he'll be ready to go, and he's been made aware of this process.
Still going to have a 2-year. I mean, do it like every other year.
That's correct. It'll fall because we just finished the 2020. So as we come into the 2022, it'll fall right in place.
Mr. Howes.
So this is still someone putting eyes on the road, right?
But yes, that's correct.
Eyes on the road. Not a system. I mean, there's still human intervention in it. It's not a radar system.
No, but again, by simplifying the process, it remedies some of our issues.
How do we get the data?
Andy or any other person that's doing the inspection at the
putting the information into a database,
Excel spreadsheet. And access, we'd use Excel just because it's more people are familiar with Excel.
So we'll continue to get a book with the road ratings in it like we have been for the last 14 years. Yeah.
It may look a little different, but you shouldn't have to. So have the 10 different columns.
Right.
Be able to go back in and compare what we see to be paved in the next year or two to this system, or we think it's going to be the same. Yeah.
No, again, I think you're gonna have ratings change because some of the inconsistencies that we've identified in the current system are going to be corrected. So some of your higher rated streets, I think what's going to happen is some of those higher rated streets are going to get lower.
I'm kind of afraid of it. We'll have that conversation at a later date.
It allows us to more accurately or more fairly pave the streets that really need to get paved.
Gonna change the segments though.
It's still, the old way was block to block segments. This is the same concept.
Imagine,
What other data will be on this database in the Excel spreadsheet? Are we gonna be able to get when the last time was the road was paved? You know, that type of data that's on there, because that's always been one of my questions. And we do have it, it's spotty. And some of the information, it says that, you know, Floor Lane was paved 10 years ago. Why didn't that job only last 10 years? We've got other roads that's lasted quite a bit longer.
We hadn't considered, or I hadn't considered adding that, but it'd be really easy to, moving forward, trying to collect any data we had. We can certainly entertain putting that in there.
some roads are gonna have more traffic.
Get it, but I mean, like, there's been some roads that Magistrate Dye's comment, he's got a road in his, it's the newest road. That's not the most traveled road in Glen Oaks Mosher Farms, I can tell you that. But it's the poorest paving job. And there's other roads, I think, in the county that may fall into that. We had a bad run with one of the paving companies. I can't remember which one it was. And some of those roads, unfortunately, are probably going to come back up sooner rather than later. But I get it. It's just a metrics to say how often we're paving some roads. And that may make us have to make different financial decisions for how much money we're putting in the paving account to get those roads paved.
Magistrate logs.
I'm just adding to what Chris is basically saying again, but look on page 15, that's 17 to 32, but it's really page 15. It goes through a good explanation of the roads from 10 to 1. But I guess my question would be, how would you, like we talked about on Rollington Road, where the majority of the road is great, and underneath the trees have maybe half a mile to a mile. You know, it doesn't get any sun, it never dries out, it's always deteriorating. How would you grade a road off of this system compared to a mile down the street? It's perfectly fine. I mean, when you say Rollington Road's at 5, but then part of the Rollington Road's at 10, how will you keep?
Could incorporate a note column in the Excel spreadsheet with that. And we typically, while the current access database doesn't include that I'm aware of, we have the understanding and discussion with the road department and magistrates where, like on the current paving package that was just awarded, while a good portion of Holly Gibson Road and Old Floydsburg doesn't warrant full resurface at this time, at the intersection of Floydsburg and Old Floydsburg, there's a radius that's failing. That's because of the storm water in the existing culvert being crushed. So we just know we need to address that one separately. So there's still going to be, again, this isn't going to be the end all be all, the 100% cure, but I think it's an improvement, and we'll still consider those other, like on Rollington Road, if just at the end needs a patch, then we'll take care of that separately.
Add to where you were saying about some of the pavement was failures or whatever sooner than later, like Judge hit traffic, obviously, you know that. And as far as way to do it, some of that stuff was done back in other prior paving companies that we choose not to use at this point. Some of their pavement jobs, yeah, they're not going to last nearly as long as we're seeing now. So we're trying to stick with the more reputable. They had to pay a little bit more, but you're getting a better job. It's going to last a lot longer. You can't always take the cheap guy because you get what you pay for.
Telling like Magistrate Dye, you pointed out earlier, we've for the past 2 years been incorporating the aramid fibers into the asphalt mix, which added strength. There's other issues when we talk about pavement failures. Sure, it could be quality, it could be sun exposure, but there's also, we've got a lot of springs. That's exactly.
Made about the wet road. Did we just buy you a new mower to set those limbs back on Rollington?
That thing is working double time right now, let me tell you.
It's over the Rollington that you take care of.
Paving system, like I said, we looked at it, some of the ratings, you might look over here and it's a 90, over here it's a 10. Well, they're averaging together. Now we go in segments and say, okay, this section is a 5, that section is a 10, we're going to address the section. It's going to put more of a red flag on it versus saying, we're looking at this one whole number. Like Lakewood for instance, or, Lakewood Valley, you look at that, it might say an 80. You get over there and look, there's roads that are a 5. You just don't, it's all combining it. It's easy to it all out. This is going to be a little bit more depth, saying this area is where this would come.
Pictures on 1 through 10, right? For 2 through 10 is Hound Lane.
Hit lane. Yeah, I could agree with strongly.
Dawkins.
To piggyback on what Magistrate Hound said, I'd like to see that statistic also about when the last time it was paved. I asked Magistrate Greenwell today, a little while ago, with one of the roads that we're getting ready to pave, when was the last time? So that's a statistic I would like to see moving forward.
Something we can certainly start working on. I think over the past few years, it'll be easier for us to retrieve that data. Some of the older ones, it'll get cumbersome to get that, but we'll slowly build that database in the spreadsheet, not database.
Magistrate Greenwell.
Quick, I can see why you all would want that to know when the last time it was paved, but that's kind of irrelevant a lot of times. Case in point is Highway 53 from Ballardsville to the county line was paved in 2000. It lasted 15 years and was in decent shape, but they paved it again. Hasn't lasted 6 years this time, and it's just gone too hot. So, you would think it just got paved. Well, it's worse than it was when they, paved it before.
Seem like all paving jobs are the same.
Different companies, yes, and different winners.
Asphalt itself, as the material has been used up over the decades, just the quality of the asphalt that we get is not the same as we got 30 years ago.
We've got a motion and a second on the floor. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next item, we're going to keep moving along here because we've got an executive session coming up, and that'll be break time, I guess, for a minute as well. We can hold that long. Personnel with Tina. A couple items here.
And we have 2 items for the police department. One is a lateral hire that we are hiring Seth Goodlett. He's from LMPD, a 5-year lateral. And his base rate will be $25.06 and his start date October 4th.
Make the motion that we hire the new officer.
All in favor, please say aye.
Would be effective on the 21st of this month, and that contract was attached to your.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye. That's a contract for a patrolman, not.
Thank you. Well, you get any more here, or is the next one? Next one's mine. All right, I'd like to, the Oldham County Stormwater District Board reappoint Tom Springer for term there in September 1st, 2025. Tom is professional engineer and has provided good advice to the board. To approve. Discussion on that. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item is to the Planning Commission. Reappoint Laura Bonet for a term to expire September 17th, 2025.
Motion second.
Motion and second. All right, any discussion on that? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And the third appointment here is Sam Finney, also to the reappointment to the Planning Commission for a term that would end September 3rd, 2025.
Make that motion.
Second. Discussion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Carries. There is no one here for a public comment, I don't think, so we'll skip that. And, correct, public comment, all right. Go on to executive session. Under KRS 61.810, subsection 1, subsection C, discussion of proposed or pending litigation against or on behalf of a public agency. Motion to go into executive session.
Second.
In favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Take a maybe 10 minute, 7 to 10 minute break before we do. Thank you.